Good evening.
Evening blessings and salutations.
You wouldn't be Mr. Llanos if you didn't say that.
That's my car saying.
Yeah, we know that.
You're gonna stamp it on your head soon. Good evening, everyone.
Ain't want me to tell you I go stamp on your head.
Oh,
Just-
Lord. Y'all don't start.
Just wear a
Don't start.
t-shirt.
We don't
Just-
start.
Let we behave. Dr. Reynolds is, let we try and behave. I gonna behave.
Yeah, you'll be a good girl.
I
gonna try.
I'm trying to give everybody a minute to come on. But again, I want to thank you guys for jumping on with us tonight. Like I've said to you before, and I've said to our viewing audience, we are friends becoming family, just having conversations. So for anybody joining in, the discussion tonight is going to be about several things regarding marriage. A lot of times we don't touch on that subject because a lot of our members are either not married, haven't been married, whatever the case may be. But we have members that are. So, and we have people that want to become married. So it's essential for us to have this conversation. So I want to introduce tonight that we have with us, starting at the top, Felicia has joined us, Nagel. Felicia is from St. Croix, currently living in the States, newly married to the person below me, Brad Nagel. So I want to congratulate you all.
Thank you.
For joining us tonight, and congratulations on your new married ties. Tonight we also have with us Dr. Conroy Reynolds. Dr. Reynolds is from Antigua, lived in St. Croix, currently lives in California. He too is married. His wife couldn't join us because of the time difference in California. But we have a therapist, counselor on with us tonight. And he has many accolades. And so I want to thank you for joining us this evening. I think something just happened to Marilyn, but we also, she should be joining back again. We also have Marilyn, who's with us today as well. And she is currently in St. Croix. So tonight is the Married People Show. So normally when we start, we'll kind of talk about topics, but there's a lot for us to discuss. So we're going to just kind of jump right in. For tonight, one of the things that I wanted to say for anybody who is either currently married, wants to get married, has been divorced, widowed, wants to have a subsequent marriage. Well, I just want to kind of go around and ask everyone, what do you know now about marriage that you didn't know? Your younger self didn't know.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So, anybody that knows me knows that I had my daughter when I was extremely young. So starting out, the thought of marriage was more about survival, right? And doing what was right and what was expected because,
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
No problem.
That's okay.
I definitely had my daughter earlier than I should have, So my perspective about marriage at the onset was much different than it is now, being 40 plus, settled, experienced, into my profession. It's just totally different. The levels of what marriage is and all the experience that happened from the beginning to now all play a part in what I think is important in marriage today.
So it definitely has changed from your view,
Absolutely.
your younger self to now.
No doubt.
Okay. I'm gonna skip Dr. Reynolds because we want you to like you're our professional tonight. But I mean your experience as well. But how about you, Brad?
Like Felicia, I had a daughter when I was a little bit too young, and so obligations, you get married, so you know, but marriage now, looking back, uh, oh man, I don't even. Hold
I got you.
on.
I'm going.
Take your time. Don't be nervous. Just speak. Just
No,
speak.
I'm just. The question is just. We don't have to go into detail with it. The question is it vastly different from what you thought marriage was about long time ago versus what it is now?
Oh yes, it's vastly different.
Okay.
I learned so much in my experiences that now I can apply it to this marriage. Is I think it's working a lot better for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And how about you, Marilyn? When you first got married versus how you look at marriage now, is it vastly different?
Well, we got married when we was in our 20s. We are married for 24 years now. Um, we are together for like 33 years. So basically, we met each other when we were teenagers. So I would say, to me, that's just life. You grow in stages. We got children. The children are grown. We are empty nested. So, to me, is a lot of different stages. So I would definitely say, comparing to when we were just married, comparing to now, yes, it is different.
Okay. Okay. And
Because
I'm only asking.
when we first got, we were young when we got our first son. So we never had that time for each other like that. We just, from a relationship, we got our children. So now it's empty nested. So now we have more time for ourselves, but life is kind of busy. So now we get into the stage where we're looking at retirement. So we had different stages too. So I would say it's different.
Okay. And the only reason, I mean,
It's better. It's better. More fun.
well, that's good. I'm asking the question only because I kind of want people to understand that, of course, what you see or what you think about marriage as a youth versus at this stage in life, once you've actually experienced the institution of marriage, is definitely much different. So I will follow up with you, Dr. Reynolds.
Well, there's a whole lot of differences, but I think I will speak from my personal viewpoint and then maybe extend to a couple of broader areas. For me, it's just personally, it is the extent to which men and women are different and how important it is for the people who are going to tie their lives up to each other, whether in a conventional type of relationship or otherwise. You need to know the other person a lot more than you think you do. You need to understand family generational differences. You need to understand issues of power and influence of culture, your family's culture, the ethnicity and what it entails. Um, I never thought about such things personally. I was one of those who thought. I mean, if you meet somebody and you start talking and you like each other and you have some things in common, and it feels good, go for it. And that is just very naive. There's a considerable more in terms of some of those issues I just described. So that's from a personal standpoint. On a broader level, you do understand that family issues are central. People's prior experiences, people's history of mental health is a critical aspect of your consideration. Negotiating power is a really important thing to do when you are entering a relationship. Anytime you have more than one person, you begin to have issues of power. Somebody is going to want power. Someone is going to be less powerful, and that is going to set you up for some considerable disagreement and resentment. Therefore, you need to negotiate that early. I also advocate strongly, if you're going to get married, both of you should be talking with someone before you actually do. I strongly adhere to that. You shouldn't just depend on your conversation with each other. You need to be able to sit with someone who is competent and capable, and just not because a person is a pastor either. You shouldn't be just pick a pastor who is going to marry you. Say, if you're going to get married by a pastor, because not all pastors are necessarily qualified to have that type of conversation. So you need to sit with someone who is able and capable to do that before you make such a big decision.
True. That's true. And do you think that that's the same for even someone who might not necessarily want marriage, but have decided to be in a committed long-term relationship?
Yes, the very same issues apply. You definitely shouldn't take it for granted. Some people have thought, well, since they're not formally married, they haven't signed legal documentation to say they're married, that there is less a commitment and they can walk away. But emotional investment, financial investment, make it extremely important that you not think that way. You need to attend to all of these issues as well. They're just as important.
That's true. That's true. Louis and Pinky, I didn't get to ask you all. What are your views about marriage now versus when you first became married? Louis.
First of all, I want to commend.
I was going to point glasses.
I gotta make sure I see. I can't see. But I commend Pinky for actually. It was funny when she told Brad, just go ahead, just speak about, because Pinky was in that position a year ago. So that was funny. I thought that was funny. I just had to mention that. But that was Pinky. That was admirable of you. Thanks, Dr. Reynolds, for that information. I wish I knew that then. Too late now. But anyway, needless to say, marriage. Listen, this is a cornucopia of so many different moving parts, man. I mean, so many different things going on. And for me, I've said it earlier in the show where I felt conversation is paramount. I've said that, and only because, and not just talking, but actually listening to each other. I think if I had more of that in my marriage, things could have been different. And that's how that's my opinion on that. I mean, there's so many elements like Dr. Reynolds talked about, family, generational issues, your past. If I think if things were, the expectation is that boy meets girl and everything goes fine, boy likes girl, girl likes boy, they get together and it's okay. There's so much more than that. So much more than that.
Sure is.
But life continues.
Cool. How about you, Trina?
Yeah, so I got married very young, and I gone right on Felicia and everybody's story. I got my baby young. I wasn't that young, but I was young, and I got married young. I learned a lot since then, and I learned marriage ain't no fairy tale. Having kids and a family, it's no fairy tale. It is a decision that's gonna require hard work, and and sacrifice. and you're going to grow together, and you're going to change. And it's okay to change, because we don't want to stay 21, 20 years later. That don't make for a good relationship or a good human being. So I learned that it takes two to stay married, not because one person believe in marriage and want to stay, I mean, you're going to stay married. It takes two, and you have to respect your partner, but first respect yourself, honor yourself in the relationship. So like Yano said, I wish I had known these things back then, but you live and you learn and you grow. So that's why I come out with on this side.
True. Same thing like Pinky. I got married right out of college, had kids. I guess my parents had gotten divorced when I was 7. So I never really saw marriage, you could kind of say. A lot of my family that were married didn't live on island with me, so I wasn't around them all the time. So examples, my mom had a lot of divorced friends as well. So I didn't, and we didn't have these conversations. So I didn't know, you'd hear people say you need to do marriage counseling and all that kind of stuff. But what I thought then, again, the whole fairy tale, you think things are going to work out, you figure people are going to mature and grow together and have goals and aspirations together, but it's two people coming together, right? And you're bringing whatever baggage, generational things, experiences to it. So definitely what I know then, what I know now, would have made it a lot better. But I mean, again, it takes two for that to work. One of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about too is that I've been noticing a lot of people you do see people getting married, but then you hear a lot of people saying why get married. What is your view on that, or have you experienced people who've said that? Because Felicia, you and Brad, this is not the first marriage. The same thing for Dr. Reynolds. Marilyn, this is your only marriage. But you hear people saying that, and what do you say when you hear that, or what does it conjure up in your mind? Felicia, you can start.
For me,
Uh-huh.
I think culture plays a big part of it. The relationships in my mind that I've experienced, my aunt and my uncle, they were married until they both passed away. My uncle passed away in January. My aunt passed away in March because she just couldn't live without him. Those are the successful relationships that I saw that I always wanted for myself. So the image of what I believe marriage to be is what my goal was, right? Or what a goal was. Now, do I think you need to be married to be happy and to meet that goal? No. I mean, if Brad and I did not get married, do I see that we would be together forever and ever? Absolutely, because this is my person, whether we decided to get married or not, right? But that's me. That's me personally. I also worry about people getting married for the right reasons. That's something I worry. Being in education, you see the changing of the generations. And although my mother was never married, that I saw, right? She was divorced by the time I was 2 years old. I still had great examples of marriage to look up to and to say, well, this is what I want in the long term. And so many of our young people now don't have that image. So I don't want to ever make it seem like you have to be married, because if they haven't seen it and they don't know, being married is not the be all to end all. So
Cool. How about you, Marilyn? Have you heard people who say like, why get married?
Yeah, I have heard people say, why get married? Because I guess they figure they're thinking divorce. But My personal feel on that is whether or not you're married and you're in a relationship, you have to maintain it anyway. It's the same way if you have a car, you got a house, everything in life you have to maintain. You got children, you have to maintain that. So whether or not you're married, you still need to maintain your relationship. So to me, getting married again, as I say, it have different stage, you know. You'll get older, things will change, you'll move slower. So anything in life you have to maintain. And I think maybe our generation itself um, are not setting an example. Um, you know, and marriage is based on love. I mean, everything, caring, forgiving, it comes with love. As the Bible says in Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind, love is all of that. And if you are married for love, or then you won't have none of that. And I think you need to first love, and you need to understand love. And I always say, in order for you to have a relationship, you definitely need to know who you are, you need to love who you are, and you need to first love God. And once you understand that, at my age when I get married, maybe I didn't understand all of that. But I grew up in a house where my mom was married. She was not married to my father, but she was married to my stepfather until he passed away. So I grew up in that household. It wasn't always love all the time, but that's just life. Everything ain't gonna be the same all the time. But I think personally, when people saying that they're afraid to marry or why marry, um, um, to me, it kind of baffled me. But one thing that baffled me was where I find it real strange, where the younger generation is thinking you don't have to be married to replenish the earth with children. And that's their mindset. So it's basically, I can replenish the earth. I don't have to be married. I can move on. And such is life. But one thing they don't understand is once you replenish the earth, and which basically you have children together, it's like having a contract like you're married because you're tied to that person. So why not get married?
Okay. Okay. And how about you, Brad?
Well, they say you live longer if you're married, right? You're saner and you're supposed to be happier. Those are good marriages, right? We've all seen marriages. I mean, you know, you're with somebody that's not a good marriage, and you thought all of that out of them, right? Their life, their sanity, you know, their money, you know. But you know, like like Marilyn was saying, I mean, commitment and making sure that your loved one is taken care of is a big thing. I mean, especially if you love them, right? And I mean, I would have got married. I mean, we would have been together if we didn't get married, because everybody needs that one person, right? One person that keeps you sane, one person that, you know, when everything else is going crazy, you can lean on, and she can lean on you, right? So that's why I got married. I mean, that's my person.
I like that. I like that. Before I go to Dr. Reynolds, for me, it's crazy because I was married for 25 years. We were together for 30 since high school, right? It was not a good marriage. It was not. I stayed for the wrong reasons. It was not a good marriage. Did not set good example for my kids because now they're like bump marriage, right? But they're of that generation as well. Um, And it's so funny because when I got out of the marriage, in my head, I think because I was married for so long, it was just assumed. I didn't even think about it. I just said I wanted to be married again because I feel like I'm someone who's supposed to be married. But as time went along, I started questioning why was the reason I wanted to get married. Is it something I really wanted? And for where I'm at in life right now, for me, I'm about a long-term committed relationship. But I don't know if I feel the same way about marriage that I did when I was 21, you know? But I'm I don't want to be somebody out there dating 101 people. That does not make me happy. But I don't know. I just feel differently. And again, that could be coming from a very bad marriage. I do have people in my life who have excellent, they have, I wouldn't say they have excellent marriages, but they show a good example of marriage. Good, the bad, the ugly, the getting back together, the working together, striving for one purpose. But it doesn't have the same weight for me as it did when I was 21 and naive. So that's just kind of my take. Dr. Reynolds, what do you have to say about it?
Well, the statistics are very strong in favor of marriage. People who get married, and Brad, you alluded to a couple of these. People who get married live longer, especially males. Males benefit from marriage more than females. Although we have we've spent a lot of time convincing women that they're the ones who should get married, men benefit from marriage more than women. I mean, the statistics are clear on that. Women live longer and better after marriage than men. They deal with the loss of marriage better than men. Men get married a lot quicker than women after marriage. People who are widowed, women do better when their husbands die. But overall, both persons.
Dr. Reynolds, you're not selling me a marriage at all right now. You're selling me a marriage. I had changed my mind, but no, gosh, I don't know. I might go back to
but both parties benefit a great deal. They live longer. Married people on a whole. Now there are exceptions, right? We know research is about on average. It doesn't take every single person into consideration. There are exceptions on both sides of the equation. So once we bear that in mind, we understand people who get married live longer. Married people are happier generally than single persons, and they're better off financially than a person who has to rely on their single resources, unless you're super successful and rich. But on average, married people do better because financially they are able to work together, and on several other measures, it comes out the same no matter how you slice and dice the research. It always comes out the same way, that married people do better overall than single people. So the case for marriage is very strong in terms of just the indices of well-being. People who are married are healthier. They recover more quickly from illnesses, perhaps because there's someone there who loves and cares for them and shares their pain and can empathize and so forth. The case for marriage is very strong. At the same time, I would agree that on the other hand, there is no greater misery than a bad marriage. So the other side of the equation should also be taken into consideration, that if you're in a bad marriage, there is nothing else in this world that is more painful, more distressing, has greater impact on your health, and can destroy you in so many ways than a bad marriage. And also it has ripple effects for your children and your children's children after them. And so it is important. The bottom line is that although you would benefit tremendously, it is important that you take the time to do it right. from the get-go, and have the right commitment. Marilyn spoke very well about the importance of understanding the commitment to each other and staying despite all of the differences, because the fact is you do change over time. No one stays the same. You do change over time, and you could change for the better or for the worse. Some people never truly grow up. They remain forever 21, as somebody says, and they just refuse to take responsibility for their choices, and all of the burden lies on the other party to keep the relationship going. It's just hard. Staying married to those persons. So it is important, though, that you have the right mindset as you enter a marriage or a long-term relationship. If you're going to live together, I mean, a lot of people don't understand from a biblical standpoint. If you are living together, you are married. If you're living together, you're sleeping together, you join in one, you are married.
That's true.
Wow.
Louis, you didn't say nothing.
Some people got a lot of spouses. Then Mr. It's true though, right? Based on that principle. Wow.
And yes, and that is why it is so true, Pinky, that if you, from a biblical standpoint, and from a moral standpoint, depending on your system of morals, you being married to someone or sleeping with someone has implications for your life. It's not just wham bam, thank you, ma'am. No, it doesn't. There is no such thing as wham bam, thank you, ma'am. There are implications beyond that one time
one night stand.
The one night stand thing. There are implications beyond it, even for people who seemingly do not care. Most times they don't. People will say they don't care because they have been badly hurt in the past. They are hurting people, and so it is a way of avoiding the pain. It is a way of avoiding having resolved their personal issues. And so they have resorted to this type of relationship to just sort of to get by, to enjoy something, and then carrying on. But over time, it catches up, and there are big implications for your emotional and mental health as a result.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So my wife, I'm going based on my experience, of course. My wife was, I was getting older. I got married at 40, like how everyone else got married young. I got married at 40.
That's
So
unusual.
I felt like Brad and Felicia said, she was my person. That was the one for me. Of course, marriage progressed, and what was once I felt a beautiful thing just failed, and we were in a failing marriage. We grew apart, so, and of course it resulted in divorce. Not not to take anything or to negate anything. I mean, she was an amazing person, and I think she's still an amazing person. I think we have a very decent relationship. Things could have gone different. She actually, I remember when I was approached with counseling, I denied it. I felt it was a very naive approach towards counseling. I felt that, in my opinion, no one can tell me about me that doesn't know me. That was my thinking, and I'm sure Dr. Reynolds, you probably could talk about that.
Oh yeah.
So, and then of course it came around again, and I was like, maybe we should. Never came to fruition, however. But like Dr. Reynolds said, I mean, I'm also a product of probably a failed marriage with the stresses and the different things that have involved the very questionable lifestyle, certain things that I've done after or even during that separation, and resulted in my having a heart attack. Again, poor lifestyle choices, poor diet, different things like that. Didn't have that, foundation of home, I guess. And but to her credit, she was actually there for me the whole time. From the time I got that, I was airlifted and she was there from blimp to blam. But that was, to answer your question, Debbie. That
You
was
just said from blim to blam?
Yes.
blimp to blam, beginning to end. Kujan.
So
yes.
what you mean?
Never heard that expression before.
Really?
Yeah, like just
I'm
from
serious?
beginning and end blim to blam. I said,
Blim to
"Shit, I
blam.
never hear that." Like,
Wow. Okay. I would say get out more. I don't know, but anyway.
Louis, what
Yeah.
do you think? What is your view on marriage? Like, where are you at now?
No. Next. Yeah. Next. Pinky, go ahead. I'm not. Give me some time to breathe. Give me some
No,
time.
I know, but I'm not saying
Yeah.
that you want.
yeah, because you've been
Do I
single
want
now.
marriage? I mean,
You've been single how long, Janos?
since 2019. 2019.
Right. So I'm not saying that
very
you want
new.
to get married now, but what is your view about, like I said, for me, I don't know. I don't
I
have
think
this.
marriage is a beautiful thing if it works. I mean, everyone here has contributed as far as what their opinions are, how we think a marriage goes, and everyone has a different view. That's a beautiful thing about it. You know what I mean? Everyone has their own way of what they think, how they can make their marriage work. But there are key components that we all need to follow, guidelines of sorts that everyone should follow as well. And those all have been pointed out. So is marriage a good thing? Yes, it's a good thing if it works. Most definitely. When I get married again, I don't know what the stars have in store for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trina, you have said something?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
Me and Debbie had a long discussion about this today because I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, now you're quiet.
According to Kema, right? That married man happy, single woman next. In the order of happiness is the married man first, then single women, then married women, then the single men last, right? So either right there, I can't be a married man. So either right up there, the highest level of being happiness for a woman. So I don't know. Would I give that up? I don't know. I believe that marriage is an investment in an individual. I think it's the biggest investment we'll ever make in our life. I don't think it's something we should ever take lightly. If we don't invest in our house, if we don't invest in our cars, if we don't invest in the stock market, wherever we don't invest time and money in, I use money, then we should take an investment in our marriage even more seriously because that's our time. I can't get back my 25 years and 30 years that I put into my last marriage. And I don't tell people, you don't take my youth done gone. I can't get at the back ever again in life, right? So now I gotta look at the other half of my life. I'm getting older now. What do I want? I had to pray about that for a lot of years. And I saw that the Bible teaches us that one can move 1,000, but two can move 10,000. And so that changed my mindset on marriage. Because two people together, two minds, two heads is better than one. Show me that, okay, in life, I could do this by myself. Okay, I'm doing it for 7 years now, 6 years now. I could do it. But do I want to continuously do it when I become 70 and 80 years old? If I'm sick on my sick bed because I've been there and my husband was sick, do I want somebody there next to me? Right? I think in life I do. When looking at this perspective, I do. I don't want to be, like Debbie said, dating 100 people. That ain't gonna happen. I ain't interested. I with Dr. Reynolds. I don't believe sleeping around and all of that. Me, I ain't judging nobody. Everybody live the life that they find that they need to live. All our journeys is different. That's not my journey to live. So what do I do from here? So I have to think about that. It's an investment. So am I willing to invest in another human being? It has to be the right human being. It has to be the right person. And they have to be willing to invest in me also. They have to be willing to make the sacrifice, the commitment We have to have common goals. We have to be wanting the same things. Some are the same things. We don't have to want the same exact things in life, but we have to have common goals that we're going towards. And marriage is a family, like Marilyn was saying. I done with childbearing. I done have too much children already. So I ain't looking for that aspect of it, but it's a family. So if it's the right conditions, like I was telling Debbie, I'm not against it, but I don't want marriage to be my end goal, because I think when we were younger, marriage was our end goal, just like the wedding is the end goal. And when we have marriage and weddings as the end goal, we tend to make decisions and we're not paying attention to the person we actually get married to. We just want to get married because we're young, or we get old, or we want children, or we get pregnant, or whatever the situation is. We made the decision. Well, it was about the marriage. Now at this older stage in my life, I could say it wouldn't be about the marriage. It would be about the individual. Now, would it be going to the church? Would it be living with somebody long term? It may be. It depends on us. It depends on the decision we make together. So for me, I can't say, is marriage, I going to the church? I can't say that. That's so when I was younger, like I wanted to be get married in the dress and go to the wedding. Now it's about two individuals investing in themselves. What is best for both of us? So would I get married? Maybe. I don't know. I first have to be in a relationship, and then I have to fall in love, and then I have to want to invest in this person. So I can't say the marriage part. I have to first start right where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And I have to really look at the situation before I invest in it. Gotta do some research. So that's just my take on it. I still guess I didn't answer the question, but okay.
Dr. Reynolds, I think you wanted to say something.
No, while I was speaking, I thought one of the things that we really should keep in mind when we're talking about marriage is that it is a complex institution that if it works as designed, there is no experience to compare to it. Nothing that we can experience in this life could surpass it. I mean, it is, there is nothing like having someone with you to face all of life's challenges, to negotiate the difficulties, someone who understands you and supports you and is there for you under all circumstances, to fight your battles with you. There is just nothing quite like it. Of course, you can have something like it in terms of those social support and so on, but no one who knows you and who's close with you and can engage in those deep conversations with you, from your deepest self, and know that you can trust them with all that you have, all that you are. There's nothing quite like it.
Excellent.
And I think that's what we search I think that's maybe what everybody really searching for, right? Dr. Reynolds, we just go about it the wrong way.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, there are a lot of odds stacked against us from society's expectations to expectations of the other person. One of the strongest and most powerful destroyers of relationship is unexpected hidden expectations. Hidden expectations that are not verbalized, but they are there nevertheless. People and ladies, I'll come a little from the left side here. Women tend to have more of these than men. Women tend to have more hidden. In other words, they expect that the male would know, the partner would know. He should know. If you love me, you would know.
Yes, we just say that all the time.
I'm not a mind reader. Tell me.
We don't say it all the time. I don't hear my girlfriends, and I don't hear them saying it all the time.
Yeah.
I said it.
Yeah, if you love me, you will know, and that's not the case. That is not the case. So people who spend time talking about their expectations from each other do better. So you have to share those expectations. What do you like when you make love? What you don't like? Where do you like to eat? Down to the minutia. What music makes you that gets you upset? What are your goals? Your secret dreams? Share those, because if you don't, there's no way that the other person will know. I mean, they can infer from your behavior, but they might be wrong, and then you get upset.
What about that partner that feels that why you want to know so much? Why you praying so much? Why you asking so much questions?
Well, if you're having a conversation, it should be an explicit thing. Let's talk about expectations.
I'm in agreement with you, but you have those individuals that may feel that you're prying or trying to find out too much, and I don't know what about that. I mean,
a lot of times, persons who are that suspicious tend to have difficulties with trust. They are about self-protection. How do I know I can trust you with my stuff? So they're about self-protection, because likely they have been hurt before, and so now they have difficulty trusting anybody. And so as soon as you start talking about expectations, they'll defend.
Makes sense.
Dr. Reynolds, Patricia Evans, say hello.
Pat.
Yes.
Return my hello for her. That's my girl.
So, hello. That's good. It's so, I remember a couple years ago, I was talking to some people at church, and I was saying that it's so crazy how, yes, of course, you're being taught in school science and English and math, but we wait until maybe the end to talk about some things, but we should probably start talking about from middle school.
Yeah.
Building relationships and what's a healthy relationship, and just having these conversations.
Self-respect.
Yeah. Loving yourself, and what does that look like, and having those conversations. We don't talk about finances, we don't do any of that stuff, and it's just crazy to me that we don't have those conversations. But I mean, it might be by design, but we don't have those conversations. Even in the education system, we don't have it at home. People live their life. Don't really have, unless you are an awoke family, and you really seriously thought about having these conversations within your family, with your kids, whatever. But you don't have these conversations because there's so much stuff that you find out through crazy experiences, or through conversations with other people, because you're ready to hear it. But some of these things we just do not talk about early enough in life.
Absolutely, that is the case.
My husband and I had a conversation, because I told him that I was going on the show tonight and everything. So the one question that was asked was, what is an essential conversation that you get, if you're thinking about getting into a serious relationship or even getting married? So I tell him, what do you think that the person needs to know? And of course, he will say, I need to know your financial status. He said, oh, that should be on top. So I like, no, I don't think that should be on top. So he and I will get, debate back and forth, which one should be first. And I tell him, I think knowing yourself should be the first thing. Again, I'm big with that. And then, of course, spiritual connection. But he said, he think when you're getting into a relationship and thinking about getting married, we need to know each other's depth.
Mhm.
And he said that is very important, which I think, and I will always tell, younger people that get married, do not make finances a problem in your relationship. That really takes a toll. And I personally feel when we got married, again, we were young, but we started to work young too. So whatever savings we had, we never said, okay, now we married, my name have to be on yours and yours don't have to be. Let's get ours together. And we made a decision on what we are going to use it for. So that was set from in the beginning of the marriage, that this is what we are opening this account for. And that's what it is. And if anyone going to take anything from it, we should let each other know. So finances is very important to me. Money really to change the relationship. So
Money.
Yes.
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 That's why
So
premarital
we
counseling
never
is so
really had
important.
that issue, because from in the beginning, even though we were very young, we said that.
Okay.
And
Said
that's
that.
that's actually really good. That's really good.
Mhm.
Felicia, you were going to say something?
That's why premarital counseling is so important, as Dr. Reynolds discussed earlier. I think
We did
at the
it.
beginning of a
We did it.
relationship, in the beginning of a relationship, there's so many unknowns, right? And sometimes you need to have a neutral third party have those, or be able to lead those discussions for you, especially for young people considering getting married. I think it's very important. Money is everything. I mean, at the end of the day, at my age, getting remarried, that's one of the top things. I mean, you have to love your partner, no doubt, but you know, I'm not going to marry anybody that I'm going to go out the gate saying, we're all going to be on the same understanding. This is what I owe. This is what you owe. This is my expectation. This is your expectation. This is where we want to be later on. We have to have a plan. I'm not going to, just walk in blindly. But I think that so many young people don't necessarily have that background growing up. Marilyn her marriage is fantastic. I mean, we all know her and her husband very well, and they have great investments. Their boys are wonderful. But we all young people don't have that experience off the bat, and premarital counseling provides that question about sex, roles, religion, finance.
A lot of pillow talk.
A lot of things could be avoided on the back end with that great foundation on the front end.
True.
Yeah, and some people do get into marriages like you have to get conversations. What is your likes? What is your don't likes and stuff like that. And some man fully well know that certain things that the woman or girlfriend likes, they fully well know going into the marriage, they can't afford her. Let her know from in the beginning, I can't afford you.
Yes.
So you make the choice whether or not you want to go into the marriage. And that's where you have the conversation with your likes and don't likes. She probably like to take trips to Dubai. And
Yeah.
you can't afford that. So
Yeah.
why sit there and listen to that conversation, get into something, next thing you know, you get into the marriage, and there you go, argument, because now you can't afford to go to Dubai.
True.
Then we want to
Get the conversation early. Communicate.
But I gonna be a little controversial and say that it's not just finances; it's all aspect. We've had a show on the different appetites, sexual appetites of partners.
Oh yes.
That's also another thing, right?
Yes.
Luciana always said, well, you're going to allow your partner to go and do certain things. And I think these really are conversation, especially at our mature age, going into second marriages and stuff like that. You have to discuss these things. And if you're not into certain things, You know, if your partner is not able to be monogamous, because we just live in a different time now. And then I don't want to get into whether they're right or morally wrong. I don't know. Why cassette is it right or wrong for you at this age, going into second marriages, knowing the history of you, and it's not just men, it's women. Are you capable of being monogamous? Are we going to have a monogamous relationship, or are we going to have a poly? What are we going to have? Let's be honest. Can you do that? Are you willing to do that? And be honest, because I think at the bottom line, what we're talking about when we're talking about finances and all this stuff is being honest, showing up and being honest with your partner, knowing who you are. I think Sue Ellen made a comment about that. First, knowing who you are. At this mature age, we should have some good ideas of who we are, what we like and what we don't like, you know? And instead of trying to tweak our partner and trying to change our partners, you know, this is who you are. This is what you like. Okay, I accept it. Is it going to work out for me and you? It may not. And then you part ways if that is the right choice to make for both of you. Only you could decide, not society, not the church by saying, or, you know, family or whoever else going to intervene and say, well, I think you's a good match because this, that. Only you two going to know that. You know what I mean? Because you talk to each other honestly and you honestly open up to those things.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm gonna say something where in the beginning of the relationship, I don't think you will ask your partner what is your sexual preference. I would take him back with that. It's like
At this mature age, Marilyn?
Well, I said in the beginning of your relationship, when you're having conversation with your likes and dislikes.
What do you mean, when you're 21 or when you're
21?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about mature.
When you're mature, and to me, again, in a relationship, it's give and take. It can't be about one person alone. When you get older, when you're younger, your sexual preference is gonna be different from when you're older. When you get older and you have empty nest, you might want to be adventurous. Somebody gonna want to be adventurous, so why not?
It better be.
Look at Louis.
Funny glasses. You know what the things?
I think my preferences have pretty much been the same. I think.
Yeah, I
a little more exploratory, maybe, yeah, but yeah.
But I hear what you're saying, Marilyn, and at 2020.
Yeah, I'm a wild boy, yes, so we know that.
At 20, when we were younger, we had no idea. We inexperienced, you know, we have no idea. I mean, I didn't know nothing about these kind of things, and I wasn't even comfortable having the conversation. But I'm talking about second marriages. I'm talking about now in life later on. I mean, even when you're older 20s and you're older 30s, these kids are not like when we were younger now. You know what I mean? They come in with experience. Their mind is much more open than we are. They might know they're into certain things, and if they get married, they're old enough to discuss it. Are you into those things? Are we willing to have these experiences and experiment on certain things? I think that's very important discussion, because if finances is number one, which I don't think finances is number one, Dr. Reynolds will tell us, sex is like the second thing that'll cause marriages to break up. I don't know which one is first, sex or money. Dr. Reynolds and Felicia will be able to tell us that.
I think this conversation is great for perspective as well, because, you know, we're talking about Marilyn having been married for 25 years, right? Having been with her husband for over 30 years, and her perspective starting out her relationship then, right? And when we were all younger, we know we didn't see or were exposed to the things that our children are now, our 21-year-old children are now exposed to, right? I mean, they can turn on the TV on a regular commercial and see things on a commercial that we would have to hide and watch HBO after dark.
Yeah, I watch I Love Lucy. They didn't even sleep in the same bed, you know?
Correct. But I do agree, though, that at 40 something, there should be definitely be a conversation when you're dating. What are you into sexually? What are your preferences before you get into a relationship with somebody who may be into something that you are not, or may not be into something that you need to have in your life?
True.
Okay.
Dr. Reynolds, you were going to say something?
Well, I was going to point. People are also very deceptive, so it's part of the reason I suggest that you have. I don't care what age you are, at what stage, get premarital counseling, because you need a third voice, a person who is able to have certain types of conversations with people and elicit their responses in a way that helps to inform our understanding of who they are. When you are into
This from a
someone,
professional, right? This
yes,
from a professional, not like your mom or your dad or anything.
no. Although I would support, though. I mean, if your mom and dad have an exemplary type of relationship, there's nothing wrong in talking with them about relationships and how they have negotiated it themselves. But this area of they might be a little squeamish, and children would be squeamish to talk with their parents about sexual preferences and so on. So that particular conversation may need to be held with another
Yeah,
party.
I won't have it out with mommy. No.
Granted. But you may want to have that with some with others. But you need to be able to know as much as you can. And the first topic, by the way, Felicia, would be unexplained or hidden expectations. Expectations should be on the table first. Generally speaking, about all other topics, and then you finances right up there, and sexual preferences. But learning to communicate effectively is really, I would say, the number one indicator of a successful relationship. Understanding how to communicate male and female. Females communicate quite differently to males, and you have to understand the differences and be able to speak in the language of the other person, in order to be able to communicate effectively. That is something that we all have to learn, because if you don't, you put yourself in a position of assuming that you understand what the person is saying, when you actually don't. From a personal, or when I say personal, I mean from an individual perspective, each of us should be, if we are thinking about relationships, especially second relationships or third or fourth, the number one consideration you should have in mind would be to deal with your own unresolved issues. That is the number one thing that disrupts and destroys subsequent relationships. It is learning what your issues are, your baggage from the previous relationships that you're bringing, because that is what is going to sabotage you. Unresolved issues, unforgiveness, resentment, family issues are among the top ones that breakdown of trust, learning to trust. These are among the top issues that remain unresolved and destroy subsequent relationships. And the further along the continuum you go, that's when people get to 4, you can pretty much predict they're going to have 5, 6 marriages, because that suggests they haven't resolved those issues at all.
Wow.
They haven't healed. They haven't healed
They
their
have not
past.
healed. Yep. Those wounds are still there, still unaddressed. And if you just, pack them up and hide them someplace, emotionally, put them somewhere in your subconscious or wherever, and don't deal with them, they will sabotage you eventually. So you need to be able to resolve them. Go to counseling if you need to. Take this. Forget the idea that counselors are just going to learn your business and what can a counselor tell me, etc. The counselor actually is not there to tell somebody anything. The counselor is there to learn from you, about you, and in conversation with you, help you to resolve whatever it is that's bothering you. So sitting with a counselor or someone whose opinions you value greatly, is an exemplary person that you trust. You can have conversations with them as well. You trust their maturity and their depth of character and so on. Those are people that you can talk with.
It's interesting that you say, people can sabotage another relationship because of unresolved. But what if they don't even realize that they do have unresolved?
That's why you should go. That's why once you've divorced, you should go to counseling.
Yeah, not only if you're getting married again, but I agree so much that you said with the dealing with the things that you experienced in the previous marriage, like healing yourself, whatever that may look like to you, whether it's talking to someone, you have to walk through those issues. But when you talk about, I made a post today on seeing things from male perspective of, is it what getting married? And when I was listening to the men, I was like, wow, I didn't see it their way because I'm female, right? I saw it from my perspective. And in my marriage, I remember my husband used to say certain things and I did not see it that way because I'm female. Like, let's just use something. Men see sexual things totally different than women see it, and I'm like, that don't even make no sense, and blah, blah, blah. And I would go on, spend years, not just conversation or argument, and very stuck in my way of thinking because, ego, I know everything, and I write, and he knows nothing, right? Stuck in that thinking. And then I look back now and I was like, that's how males think. That's their belief. I don't relate to it because I'm not a male. So when you said that, that just spoke volumes to me because we really do speak two different languages. And I think a lot of time in relationships and in marriages, we're so busy trying to get our mate to see it our way because we think our way is the right way and our way makes sense. We ain't got no time to listen to their way. But they ain't got no time to listen to our way because we female and we just all emotional and I use all male and I use all logic, whatever.
Which is a myth. That's a myth, but
exactly, because we have some women that's very logical. And some males who are very emotional. So yeah.
Well, you know something too. What neuroscience research is finding out these days is that the idea that there are people who make that the majority of men make decisions logically while females tend to be more emotional is a myth. They're finding out that we all make decisions emotionally, and then we come up with reasons to support our decisions. It's a gut feeling. If I feel good about something, usually that's my indicator. And the majority of people actually operate that way, male and female. But men have the idea that men are more logical is a holdover from the days when men, specifically white men, ruled the roost so that they convinced others that they, specifically women, that they're the ones who are wiser and can make logical decisions, and that women are more emotional and can't make good decisions. That, by the way, is the reason that it took so long to give women the vote, because the idea was that a woman's mind, illogical mind, couldn't handle the responsibility of vote. So they only men had that mental capability. I think that has just continued to trickle on into society, that women are more emotional than men, or at least make decisions more emotionally than men. But there's no evidence really to support that.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. That's
Okay.
interesting.
But do men fall in love differently? Men
Yes,
and women fall in love differently, Dr.
yes.
Reynolds?
Men and women process things differently. From a communication standpoint, women tend to be more indirect. I think it's a history of the fact that it's because of that history of males being the people in power, who dictate things. Again, specifically white men. Um, Women have learned to communicate indirectly because
Mm.
they're the ones who have been in the one down position. Men have been in the one up position. And so women have learned to communicate in a way that sort of gets to the male and have him make the decision, but nevertheless it's coming from her. If, for example, I'll use a personal one. If my wife wants me to do something, she'll ask me, "Babe, do you want to do that?" She'll ask me if I want to do that. And by now I know the difference is, so she's not going to say, "Please do that for me." She'll say, "Do you want to do that?" Because that's an indirect way of communicating. We're driving, going somewhere, and she wants to stop to get something to eat. She's not going to say, "Pull over there and let's get something to eat." Do you want to stop here?
Wow. That's
We
true.
talk, even though we talk about it and we laugh and joke about it, she still does it.
Wow. That's true.
That's it. Men and women process. A man will come out directly because he's accustomed being the person in power. So he'll just say what he wants because that's what people in power do. That's what I want. Give me this.
Mm,
But the women communicate indirectly.
makes sense. Definitely makes sense. I didn't get to read some of these comments, but Sue Ellen wrote, from my experience, both parties have to understand themselves and each other and willing to compromise, communicate, and make decisions in the best interest of the relationship. I think she means for each other. It doesn't always settle well, but once both parties are willing, it can work because both will be willing to go back to the drawing board to work it out. I think I wanted to see something Ranchi had written. Okay, he wrote, the problem with marriage these days is that the older generation has shown that it doesn't work and people easily walk away from marriage. I think he means our generation, well, maybe a little older. The older generation have shown by actions and by words why marriage doesn't work. We must recognize how our words affect the mindsets of those that live by our words.
True.
And then I think to something that Marilyn said, he said, I disagree with that because even with the older generation, he said there were plenty Rolling Stones out there making babies all over without considering marriage. It just shows up. I think it just shows up different now. I just wanted to be able to point out some of the things that were said that I didn't get to read. Dr. Williams said, we're not the same people at the beginning of marriage compared to further down the road. Marriage will change because we all change. And you did say that. But as we're coming closer to the end, one of the things I wanted to say is for the two, for Felicia and Brad and for Dr. Conroy, what made you all decide that because again, there's a lot of people who have been in relationships or who have been married and now say, either they're completely turned off from it, again, because of unresolved issues, whatever the case may be. What would be your what would be the thing that you would like to leave to people that don't have faith in relationships anymore, or marriage anymore?
Again, I'm not a proponent of pushing marriage onto
Right.
people. I don't think that you have to be married to be happy. I think I think you can be in a committed relationship, however that looks for you. I think that's fine as well. So I think that we shouldn't be as pressured by society or what other people determine a relationship should be called or how it should look. And I think that people need to take some time for themselves. I'm speaking about second and third and fourth and fifth marriages. I agree with everything Dr. Reynolds said. You need to take some time for yourself. It's the moments that you're not looking, when you're not focused on a relationship, when you're not hyper focused about having a partner or being with somebody, just finding out who you are and what you need for yourself, and heal whatever you have in the past. Seek counseling, as Dr. Reynolds said, be it your pastor or a clinical psychologist, whatever it is that you need to deal with you, so that you can move on successfully in whatever relationship you choose to be. What I will say is, just don't be closed off to the prospect of love.
Good. How about you, Brad?
I can't say taking time for yourself and getting a lot of people just don't know who they are or what they want, right? So taking time to get to know who you are, you can more easily explain to somebody else what you want, because a lot of people just don't know who they are, and that's because they're rushing from one relationship to another relationship, and find somebody who you can trust and who you feel is honest, and communication is the key. It's been the key for me and Felicia. I mean, she was more along marriage than I was for a while, and I came along with that easily because we communicated every day. We still communicate every day.
What?
Talk about everything. We've talked about everything even before, and she trusted me enough to open up about things that she says that she's never told anybody else. So, both people got to be in a safe space, and both people got to trust each other. That's what I got. Marriage is great if with the right person.
Right.
Correct. Correct. How about you, Dr. Reynolds? Well, actually, Marilyn. What I mean, this you have had subsequent marriage, but what are the things that you think that you would like people to know, or what are the conversations you have with your boys, because they're of the generation that is a little bit more reluctant about getting into marriage. What are the things that you and Clifford tell them?
Well, I would.
I caught you off guard.
Yes.
I'm only saying that because I know from my kids, again, because they did not have a good example of marriage. I don't think I think there was a point in time where they were completely like, oh no, I'm never getting married. My sister is not married, but has been in a committed relationship for 26 years. So for them, they were like, that's what I want. Because
But Dr. Reynolds explained that's marriage in
no,
itself.
I know that, but I'm just saying, like, they were like, that's what they want, because they saw the friendship, they saw the camaraderie, they saw the respect, they saw them as best friends. You can't see one without the other. So for them, that was what they wanted emulated. But like you said, I consider them married. But
Wait. Okay.
they don't. I feel like there's some of my children and their friends that I call my children as well, that are completely like, I will never get married. And then you have those that say, or they're in relationships. I don't, only one that I really know of has gotten married of all the kids that I know. That's crazy. But they're not really for marriage, and I don't even hear them really talking about long-term relationships either. So that's why I said that.
Well, with us, I won't say that we actually tell them anything. We have three boys together. Well, three young men now together, and none of them never said that they won't get married. So to me, it's not telling them, it's showing them. So far, one of them, he's married, and the next two, they never said that they won't get married. So to me, it's showing them the example.
Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. How about you, Dr. Reynolds?
Well, that Marilyn's point is absolutely on the money. The power of example cannot be overstated.
Right.
We helping them see models of effective relationships. There's nothing that can beat that. Short of that, though, a conversation with kids who haven't had that example and who are somewhat sour on marriage. Well, first you have to consider, are they sour on relationships itself or on marriage? Because as human beings, we live our lives in relationships. We're always in relationships of some kind.
Right.
Whether romantic, it may not be romantic, but it'll be parents or friends or colleagues, family. We have so many different relationships that we exist in. So perhaps talking with them about what a good relationship looks like. What do you get from a good relationship? Why do you have a best friend? What does your best friend do for you? By the way, that's one of the key measures of a successful relationship, that both are best friends. So if your child has a best friend, why do you have that best friend? What do you get from that best friend? Consider you could get that. That could be what a long-term relationship looks like, and also consider. I would also have a conversation about the alternatives. What are the alternatives to long-term relationships? If you are comfortable living single, and there are a lot of people who are living fulfilling, flourishing lives who are single. That's a fact. So if you are considering living a single lifestyle, you can experience satisfaction doing that. However, if you want the benefits of a long-term relationship, then you should be talking about what do you bring to it, and what do you need from it. You should also be thinking about how do I put myself in a position of having a long-term successful relationship. Yeah, I'll stop babbling there.
Okay, cool. Louis or Pinky?
Pinky, go for it.
Okay. So, my kids, my boys, they're talking about marriage. One is engaged, and the second one is about to get engaged. And my daughters, so at first they weren't. Years ago, they weren't. They were. Everybody was against marriage, especially my daughters. So they were like, "No way, we're not doing that." But in my healing, right? Because we can't go back. We can't change the past. We can't change our mates, and we can't change the mistakes we've made. But in my healing, and us healing as a family, because we talked about these things, we talk about the mistakes we made as parents, the bad examples we set for our children, not us, but me, because he's gone now, but I spoke about it. So when the children and us, we just faced our demons together as a family. And through that healing, we've learned, me and them. So the boys and the girls, they were like, they know what they're looking for. You know, like my youngest, I asked her today, would she ever get married? And she was like, yeah, but I don't know if you could love somebody for your whole entire life. Whereas 20 years ago, we would tell them, yeah, that's what marriage is, loving somebody for your entire life. Like her mind can't comprehend that at her age. And so we embrace it and we talk about it. So it's like the whole thing about marriage, having the conversation, to me, is having a conversation with your children also. Talking about the mistakes you made. I own my mistakes. I say, yeah, no, that wasn't the right way. I shouldn't have spoken like that. You know, how I spoke a lot of times was not right, you know, and how he spoke to me or what we did, you know, I think the kids always said, because my one son believed we had the perfect relationship, and then they would get in fights with the other kids because they were like, you crazy. It all depends on what stage they are, right? So the older ones will understand things that the younger ones and all the kids always said there was one thing that was consistent in the relationship was love and the common goal of the family. We always did what was best for the entire family, right? So not just the kids, but for him and for me. Come on, we all did that. And so they took that away from it. And now everybody looking towards a marriage, but a different marriage. And I tell them now, I said, look, well, we done made certain mistakes. We done did all of that. It's time for you to accept those things and now move to a higher level. Because we already did that walk, that first set of walk. They got their own stuff to do. Don't repeat the same mistakes we make, is what I tell them. So I hope I answered the question there. I don't know.
I'm gonna make this quick because we're definitely at the mark. My boys, you know, I talk about. I always tell them how important it is to treat women, respect women, you know, and things of that nature. As far as I came from I'm a product of a long-term marriage. My parents 2 weeks ago just celebrated their 57-year of marriage. My sister, my brother, they're both in 30+ years marriages. That definitely didn't work for me, as we all know. But I still believe in trying to set an example and show my boys the significance of treating women again with respect. Just today, as a matter of fact, I was texting my 18-year-old. He's away at school, and 2 days ago was my daughter's birthday, 10th birthday. I gave her a bouquet of flowers, you know, amongst other things for her birthday. And I told my son, I said, look, it's, you know, when you find that special someone, make sure you give them their flowers and give them their flowers when they're alive. It's important to do that. So again, he's 18, so you know he's going through, you know, life. But again, I try to give them, you know, good advice, I guess, for lack of a better term, with regards to relationships. You know, of course, leading by example would be a great thing. I obviously, you know, that's a whole lot of story. But again, I think good solid foundation is we have a good solid foundation that's where we start from, and I think you can maintain that through whatever turbulent, you know, relationships or situation that you may have. Once you have a good solid foundation based on love for family, I think that's important. So with that being said, Debbie, I know you want to bring this up.
I want to, again, I mean, there's so much more that we could talk about, and we will definitely have each of you all back on another show, because marriage is something that the marriage topic is something that or even long-term relationship topic is something that we don't really touch on often, but in our year 2, this is our year 2, we will definitely, as well as we're trying to have more conversations with men only panel. So we got to pick from the men that we can get on the show. Brad, Dr. Reynolds. So know that we will be asking you all to come back on again. But
and maybe Clifford next time.
And Clifford. Yes. So definitely I want to thank you all, you know, for coming on this journey with us, for hopefully leaving nuggets with our viewers. I want to thank our viewers who commented, who logged in, joined in, who will see this later on. And I want to wish everyone well. Again, thank you, Felicia, Brad, Marilyn, and Dr. Reynolds for joining us. And everyone, please be safe. And we will see you all back here next week, Thursday.
Thank you.
Definitely, definitely.
Everybody.
Thanks.
Good night,
Thanks to
everyone.
Felicia,
Good
Brad,
night.
Marilyn, Dr. Reynolds. Want to thank you. Definitely. Cliff, make sure Cliff come on the next time, okay? Because where's Cliff? Seriously, tell him to jump in and say what's up to the
Nelly,
people.
just come and say hello.
Yeah,
That's peer pressure.
he tried to come in. He tried to come in.
Why are you acting shy?
Oh boy.
It's not shy.
He
We know that.
coming, Miss Dodd. He coming.
Exactly. But
Nelly, next
definitely
time.
want to take this opportunity to wish each and everyone, as well as the viewing audience, wishing you good things, great things, beautiful things.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Blessings,
Thank you so
everybody.
much. Thank
Okay,
you.
good night.